I don't want to be saved, she told him, but he said, good, I'm just here to ride beside you. Myra rode into Dry Haven the way a person rode into trouble when trouble was already waiting. The town sat low between red rock hills and a wide stretch of dust flats. From far away it looked calm, like any other frontier stop on Kestrel 9. But when she got closer, she saw the signs. 2 patrol drones floated above the main street like metal vultures. Their lights scanned every rider and wagon. A tall antenna tower blinked behind the sheriff's office, sending messages to the sky. Myra kept her eyes forward. Her cyberhorse, Ash, moved with a smooth, quiet gait. His hooves did not clatter like old steel shoes. They pressed into the dust and left clean prints, as if even the ground respected him. People watched her from porches and doorways, not in a friendly way, not in a brave way either, more like they were trying to decide if she was danger or if danger would follow her. Myra did not wave. She did not smile. She had learned that smiles invited questions, and questions invited stories, and stories pulled you back into the past. She did not come to Dry Haven to make friends. She came for supplies, a map update, and one piece of information. The cantina sat at the center of town, a low building made of rusted metal panels and sun-baked wood. A sign above the door flickered, Haven House. The lights stuttered like the town itself could not decide whether to stay alive. Myra tied Ash beside a water trough and stepped inside. Heat hit her first, not the kind from a fire, but the thick heat of too many bodies and too little airflow. Fans spun overhead, slow and tired. The room smelled of spice liquor, oil, and dust. Conversations dipped when she entered. Myra wore a faded brown coat with a hood. Under it she carried a compact energy pistol, legal on Kestrel 9 if you paid the proper fees. She had paid none, but rules mattered less out here. Power mattered more. She walked to the counter and placed a credit chip down. "Water," she said. The bartender was a wide man with a metal arm. His eyes moved from her face to her belt and back again. He poured a cup without speaking. Myra drank slowly, listening. At a corner table, 3 miners talked in quiet voices. Their hands were rough, their faces tired. At another table, 2 corporate enforcers sat with shiny gear and cleaner clothes. Their armor plates had the Helios Core logo, a sun over a mountain. Their rifles leaned against the wall like they owned the air itself. Myra's jaw tightened. Helios Core. She had heard the name long before she came to this planet. A company that claimed it brought order and progress to the frontier. But order and progress often meant control. Control often meant fear. Myra glanced around and noticed a man sitting alone near the back wall. He was not dressed like the miners and not dressed like the enforcers either. His coat was long and dusty, his boots worn, his hat pulled low. His hands rested calmly on the table. He watched the room with quiet attention, like someone who could read trouble before it spoke. She looked away. She did not need anyone. Myra finished her water, then leaned toward the bartender. "Where's the map terminal?" she asked. The bartender nodded toward a side room. "Back there if it works." Myra moved through the narrow hall and found the terminal. The screen flickered, but it turned on. She plugged in a small device and waited while the system updated. A warning appeared. STORMLANDS, high risk. Nav signals unstable. Myra's eyes narrowed. She expected that. The Stormlands were where she was going. Most people avoided them. That was why she chose them. The map showed a wide region of shifting sand, broken canyons, and old battle scars from a war that happened before the towns were even built. Under the sand were ruins that did not belong to any human group. Old alien structures, half buried, half forgotten. That was where Helios Core was looking. Myra's fingers hovered over the screen. She selected a route that avoided the main roads. Then she froze. A new marker appeared on the map, blinking in red. Helios Core dig site restricted zone. It was close to her route, too close. She unplugged her device and pocketed it. As she turned to leave, she heard voices in the hallway, heavy footsteps, the smooth hum of drone parts. Myra stepped back into the cantina and saw what caused it. One of the miners, a young man with a dusty face and nervous eyes, stood near the door. 2 enforcers had blocked his way. One of them held the miner's wrist, squeezing hard, while the other spoke with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "You owe the company," the enforcer said. "You think you can walk out without paying?" "I paid already," the miner said, voice tight. "I gave my hours." "I gave my share," the enforcer laughed. "You gave what we allowed you to give. That's not the same." People watched but did nothing. The bartender stared at the counter like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Fear had trained this town well. Mara felt a familiar pressure inside her chest. A slow heat, not anger exactly, something sharper, something that whispered, "You've seen this before, you know where this road leads." She took one step forward, then stopped. This was not her fight, she told herself. She did not want to be pulled into someone else's mess. She did not want to be saved, and she did not want to save anyone either. But then she noticed the miner's hand. His fingers were shaking, not because he was weak, but because he was trying not to panic, trying not to beg, trying to keep dignity while someone stole it. Myra's eyes shifted to the corner of the room. The lone man by the wall had stood up. He moved without hurry, without drama. He walked toward the enforcers like he had all the time in the world. He stopped a few steps away and spoke in a calm voice. "Let him go," he said. The enforcer holding the miner turned his head. "Who are you?" "A traveler," the man replied, "and you're making this town worse." The second enforcer smirked. "This town belongs to Helios Core." "It belongs to the people who live here," the man said. The first enforcer tightened his grip. The miner winced. "You want trouble?" the enforcer asked. The man's eyes stayed steady. "No, I want peace. That starts with you letting him go." The room felt smaller, like the walls leaned in to listen. Mara watched carefully. She didn't move, but her body was ready. If the enforcers drew weapons, she would act. Not because she wanted to, because she had learned how fast a moment could turn. The enforcer laughed again. "Peace," he repeated like it was a joke. "You think you can talk your way out of this?" The man nodded once. "Sometimes." He did not reach for his weapon. He did not threaten. He did not raise his voice. That was what made him dangerous. People who stayed calm in these moments usually had experience. The enforcer glanced around. He saw eyes watching. He saw hesitation. Towns like Dry Haven survived by pretending they did not care, but even pretending had limits. With a sharp shove, the enforcer released the miner. "Get out," he snapped. "But your debt stays." The miner stumbled back, breathing hard, then hurried outside without looking at anyone. The two enforcers glared at the calm man. "You just made yourself a problem," the second enforcer said. The man lifted his shoulders slightly. "Maybe, or maybe you remember you're not the only ones with weapons." The enforcers muttered and returned to their table, but their posture had changed. They were no longer relaxed. They were watching. Mara kept her face blank, but inside she took note. That man had just placed a target on his back for a stranger, or maybe he did it because he hated bullies. Either way, he was either brave or foolish. Mara finished nothing at the cantina. She went straight to the door, untied Ash, and prepared to leave town. The sky was turning orange at the horizon. Night would fall soon, and with it the cold. As she swung into the saddle, she heard footsteps behind her. "Heading into the Stormlands?" a voice asked. Mara turned her head slightly. The calm man stood a few steps away. Up close, he looked older than she first thought, not old in years, but in wear. The kind of wear life gave when it asked you to survive too many times. His eyes were brown and steady. His beard was short, dust-streaked. A simple ranger badge was pinned inside his coat, half hidden. "I don't tell strangers my route," Mara said. He nodded like he expected that. "Fair." He paused. "Name S. Rowan Cade." Mara did not give hers. Rowan's gaze flicked to Ash, then back to her face. "You ride like someone who's done this before," he said. Mara's grip tightened on the reins. "And you talk like someone who thinks he knows people." Rowan smiled a little, but it was not a teasing smile. It was tired. "I hear Helios Core is pushing farther into the Stormlands," he said. "Some folks say they're digging for something they shouldn't touch." Mara held his eyes for a long moment. The wind moved across the street, carrying dust between them. "Why do you care?" she asked. Rowan looked toward the hovering drones. "Because when big power moves in, small people get crushed," he said. "And I've seen enough of that." Myra leaned forward slightly in the saddle. "If you think I'm some lost cause you need to protect, you've got the wrong rider." Rowan raised both hands a little, open palms. "I don't want to save you," he said. That phrase hit her harder than she expected. For a heartbeat, she didn't know why. Maybe because she had heard the opposite too many times. People trying to pull her, push her, own her choices. She narrowed her eyes. "Then why are you here?" Rowan nodded toward the open road beyond the town, the wide desert, the darkening sky. "Good," he said softly. "I'm just here to ride beside you." Myra stared at him. She should have laughed. She should have told him to stay in town and find an easier mission. But something in his voice made it feel real. No claim, no control, no pressure. Still, she did not trust it. You ride beside me, she said. You follow my pace. You don't lead, you don't command. Rowan tipped his hat once. Fair. Mara turned Ash toward the road. She kicked gently, and Ash began to move. The town fell behind her, its lights small and shaky against the growing night. She did not look back, but she listened. And after a few minutes, she heard the sound of another horse behind her, not close enough to crowd her, not far enough to vanish. Rowan kept his distance, matching her line like a shadow that chose respect over force. Mara's mind stayed sharp as the desert opened around them. The Stormlands waited ahead like a dark promise. Helios Corps waited too, somewhere beyond the dunes, digging where they should not dig. Myra did not know if Rowan would be trouble or help. She only knew one thing. For the first time in a long time, she was not riding alone. And that felt like danger of a different kind. The desert grew colder after sunset. The heat of the day faded fast, leaving behind a wide silence that felt almost alive. Myra rode at the front, her back straight, her eyes focused on the dark horizon. Rowan followed at a steady distance, never too close, never too far. The twin moons of Kestrel 9 rose slowly, casting pale silver light across the dunes. Their glow turned the sand into soft waves of white and gray. The Stormlands waited ahead, quiet for now, but known for sudden violence. Myra did not speak for the first hour. Rowan did not try to fill the silence. That alone earned him a small piece of respect. After a long stretch, Myra slowed Ash and glanced back. Rowan adjusted his pace immediately, keeping the same careful gap between them. You always this patient? She asked without turning fully around. Only when it matters, Rowan replied. She faced forward again. This isn't a sightseeing ride. I figured. You know what's out there. Storm currents, dead zones, old war machines buried in sand. He paused. And Helios Corps. Mara's jaw tightened at the company name. The wind began to shift. Fine grains of sand lifted into the air and brushed against their coats. Ash snorted softly. We camp before the ridge, Mara said. Storm activity rises after midnight. Rowan nodded once. You've been here before. Yes, she did not explain more. They reached a low rocky outcrop just before the Stormlands truly began. The rocks offered slight shelter from the wind. Mara dismounted smoothly and began securing Ash to a metal anchor spike she carried. Rowan did the same with his horse, a sturdy dark animal named Flint. Neither asked permission to set camp. Neither tried to take control. They moved like two people who understood survival. Myra ignited a small heat unit, just enough to warm the air around them. She did not build a fire. Open flames could attract drones or wandering scavengers. Rowan sat across from her, resting his elbows on his knees. You don't trust me, he said calmly. Mara looked up at him. Trust is expensive. Fair. You steppin' back there at the cantina, she continued. Why? Rowan considered his answer before speaking. Because I've seen what happens when no one steps in. That miner isn't your responsibility. Neither is this planet, Rowan replied, but I'm still here. Myra studied his face in the dim light. He did not look proud. He did not look like he was trying to impress her. His voice carried no ego. You used to wear that badge openly, she said, nodding toward the ranger insignia half hidden in his coat. Rowan glanced down at it. A long time ago. What changed? I did. The wind grew stronger. Sand hissed against the rocks like whispers. Mara looked toward the dark horizon. Far in the distance, faint lightning flickered inside thick clouds. The Stormlands. Helios Corps is digging near the old ruins, she said quietly. They think they found something buried under the dunes. Rowan did not interrupt. They hired scouts months ago, she continued. Good money, good equipment, no questions allowed. You were one of them, Rowan said softly. Mara did not answer right away. Yes, she said finally. The word felt heavier than the desert air. They told us it was an energy survey, she continued. Natural resources, nothing dangerous. And it wasn't, Rowan guessed. No, she shook her head. It wasn't natural. She remembered the first time she saw the ruins. Tall structures half buried in sand, smooth metal that did not rust, symbols that glowed faintly at night. The air around them felt wrong, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Did you find it? Rowan asked. Yes. What is it? Mara looked at him directly. A weather control system. Rowan blinked once, absorbing that. Ancient, she said. Not human, it can shift storm patterns across half the planet. Rowan exhaled slowly. That would give Helios Corps full control of the frontier. Yes. Silence returned between them, thicker now. They don't want to stabilize the storms, Mara said. They want to push them, drive settlers away, clear land cheaply. Rowan's hands tightened slightly on his knees. And you walked away. I walked out, she corrected. They were days from activating a test pulse. I copied what data I could and disappeared. That's why you're here, Rowan said. You're going back. Yes, to destroy it, to stop them. Rowan nodded slowly. You plan to do that alone. Mara met his eyes. That was the plan. The wind rose sharply, forcing both of them to brace. Fine sand swirled in small spirals around the camp. Rowan stood and walked a few steps toward the ridge. He looked out at the distant lightning. You don't want to be saved, he said almost to himself. No. He turned back to her. Good. Mara raised an eyebrow. Because I'm not here to save you, Rowan continued. I'm here because stopping that machine is bigger than either of us. She studied him carefully. He wasn't offering protection. He wasn't offering control. He was offering alignment. That was different. Before she could respond, a faint humming sound reached her ears. Mara stood instantly. Drone, she said. Rowan reacted without question. Both moved quickly. Mara shut down the heat unit. Rowan pulled a compact scanner from his coat. A small surveillance drone crested the ridge, its blue light scanning the ground below. Helios core. Mara's mind raced. They must have tracked movement from Dry Haven. Stay low, she whispered. Rowan crouched beside a rock. The drone hovered, rotating slowly. Mara calculated angles. If she fired now, the blast might draw attention from larger patrol units. If she did nothing, the drone might record them and send coordinates. The drone's light swept across the rocks. Rowan looked at her, waiting for her decision. She took a steady breath, drew her energy pistol, and fired one precise shot. The beam struck the drone's underside. Sparks burst from its casing. It wobbled, then crashed into the sand with a dull thud. Silence followed. Rowan gave her a small nod. Clean shot. They'll know it went offline, she said. We move now. They mounted quickly and rode deeper into the stormlands. The terrain shifted as they crossed the ridge. The sand became uneven, mixed with broken metal fragments from long-forgotten battles. Twisted shapes jutted from dunes like skeletons of giant machines. The sky ahead pulsed with lightning inside thick clouds. Mara guided Ash carefully through narrow paths she remembered from before. Rowan followed without complaint, trusting her knowledge. After an hour, the first true storm wave hit. Wind slammed into them sideways, forcing both riders to lean low against their horses' necks. Sand blasted across the landscape, reducing visibility to only a few meters. Mara activated Ash's navigation visor. A faint green overlay appeared in her sight, marking stable ground. Stay left, she shouted over the wind. Rowan adjusted immediately. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating the dunes in flashes of white. Through the storm, Mara felt something else, a low vibration in the ground, not natural thunder. She slowed slightly, scanning ahead. There, she muttered. Beyond a ridge of broken sand, faint artificial lights glowed through the storm. A cluster of structures surrounded by temporary shielding. Helios Core's dig site. Even through the wind, she could see movement. Large drilling machines anchored into the ground. Power lines connected to a central structure that pulsed faintly with blue light. They're closer to activation than I thought, she said. Rowan pulled his horse alongside hers for the first time since they left town. What's the plan? He asked. Mara stared at the glowing center of the site. We cut the power feed first, she said. That buys time, then I access the core system and trigger a shutdown. You've done this before? No, Rowan almost smiled. Good, keeps things interesting. She glanced at him sharply. This isn't a joke. I know. The storm intensified, giving them partial cover. Searchlights from the dig site struggled to cut through the sand. Mara felt the weight of her past pressing against her chest. She had helped them find this place. She had mapped safe routes for their machines. Every light in that camp existed because of information she provided. She could not undo that, but she could choose what happened next. Rowan looked at her, not with doubt, not with command, just steady presence. You lead, he said simply. Mara nodded once. They guided their horses into a narrow canyon that curved toward the back of the dig site. The wind howled above them, masking their approach. As they dismounted near the canyon's end, Mara looked once more at Rowan. If this goes wrong, she said, you leave, don't try to drag me out. Rowan held her gaze. I won't drag you anywhere, he said, but I won't ride away either. For a brief moment, she felt something shift inside her, not fear, not weakness, partnership. She turned toward the glowing structures ahead. Then let's ride this storm, she said. Together, they moved toward the edge of Helios Core's operation, the ancient machine buried beneath their feet beginning to hum louder with every step. And above them, the sky flashed like a warning. The storm roared around the canyon like a living thing. Sand twisted through the air, hiding shapes and swallowing sound. Mara crouched behind a broken rock formation and watched the Helios core dig sight below. Bright lights flickered through the storm, and heavy machines stood like giant metal beasts half buried in sand. Rowan moved beside her, calm and silent. He did not rush her. He did not ask questions she was not ready to answer. Mara studied the layout carefully. She had seen it before, but now more equipment had arrived. Power cables ran from portable generators toward a central tower. That tower connected to the buried alien system beneath the sand. "They've expanded," she said quietly. Rowan nodded. "Looks like they're preparing for something big." "They are," she replied. "If they activate the device fully, they can reshape the storms across the region." Lightning flashed overhead, briefly lighting the entire camp. Mara counted guards and drones during the flash. 4 patrol paths, 2 heavy security mechs, a command tent near the tower. She breathed slowly, calming her racing thoughts. "We enter from the back," she said. "There's a maintenance hatch under the ridge. I mapped it months ago." Rowan adjusted the strap of his rifle. "You lead." They moved down the canyon carefully, using the storm as cover. The wind helped hide their footsteps. Sand struck their coats and faces, but they pressed forward. Mara felt memories pushing into her mind, walking through this same place wearing a Helios core badge, giving instructions, pretending she believed in their mission. She pushed the thoughts away. That person was gone. Now she was here to end what she started. They reached the maintenance hatch, a half-buried metal door hidden behind stacked equipment crates. 2 guards stood nearby, talking over the sound of the storm. Mara glanced at Rowan. He waited, ready but patient. She signaled with 2 fingers. Rowan moved silently to the right, creating a distraction by tossing a small metal piece into the darkness. The noise drew 1 guard away. Mara stepped forward and stunned the second guard with a precise energy pulse. Rowan returned, guiding the distracted guard away without causing harm. Within moments, the path was clear. Mara opened the hatch using a code she still remembered. The lock hesitated, then clicked open. "Let's go," she whispered. Inside, the air felt different, cooler, charged with energy. Narrow metal corridors sloped downward into the earth. Lights flickered along the walls, powered by the alien system below. They moved quietly through the tunnels. Mara knew the layout well, but the deeper they went, the more unfamiliar it felt. Helios Core had added new structures, cables running into unknown chambers, strange energy readings flickering on wall panels. A low hum vibrated through the floor. "That's the core powering up," Mara said. Rowan looked ahead. "How much time?" "Not enough." They reached a large chamber where human technology blended with alien architecture. Smooth silver walls curved like liquid metal. Symbols glowed faintly, shifting slowly as if alive. At the center stood a massive console connected to a column of blue light that rose from beneath the floor into the ceiling. The weather control system. Mara felt a wave of memory hit her. The first time she saw it, the fear mixed with wonder. Now the feeling returned, stronger. "It's already active," she whispered. Rowan scanned the area. "Guards, probably watching from above." Mara stepped toward the console. She pulled out a data device and connected it to the interface. Symbols flashed across the screen, alien and human languages mixing together. Her hands moved quickly. "Power levels increasing," she said. "They're preparing a test pulse. What happens if they fire it?" The storm patterns shift violently. Settlements nearby could be destroyed. Rowan's jaw tightened. Mara worked faster, searching for shutdown commands. The system resisted, security protocols blocking her access. "They upgraded the encryption," she muttered. "They knew someone might try this." Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind them. Mara turned sharply. A group of Helios Core enforcers entered the chamber, weapons ready. At their center stood a tall woman in a clean uniform, her posture confident. "Mara Vale," the woman said calmly. "I wondered when you would return." Mara froze. "You know her?" Rowan asked quietly. "Commander Ilara Voss," Mara said, "head of this operation." Ilara smiled slightly. "You left without permission," she said, "but I always believed you would come back. You care too much about the outcome." "I came to stop you," Mara said. Ilara laughed softly. "Stop progress, stop order. This planet needs control." The storms make survival impossible. You're not stabilizing the storms, Myra replied. You're weaponizing them. Ilara's expression hardened. Sacrifice is necessary for growth. Rowan stepped slightly forward, calm but firm. People aren't sacrifices. Ilara's eyes moved toward him. And you are. Just someone riding beside her, Rowan said. Myra felt a strange calm hearing that again. Ilara gestured toward the glowing column. This device will reshape the frontier, she said. No more chaos, no more random destruction. You mean no more freedom, Mara said. The enforcers raised their weapons. Mara's mind raced. She could not fight them directly. She needed time to access the core. Rowan slowly shifted position, drawing attention toward himself. You really think people will thank you for forcing them out of their homes? They will thank us when they survive, Ilara replied. Lightning cracked above and the entire chamber vibrated. The device surged with energy. Mara's screen flashed red warnings. It's accelerating, she said under her breath. Rowan met her eyes briefly. Without words, they understood each other. He stepped forward, speaking calmly to Ilara, keeping her attention focused on him. You don't need this machine to help people, Rowan said. You need trust. Ilara scoffed. Trust doesn't move mountains. No, Rowan replied, but it moves people. While they spoke, Mara bypassed another security layer. Symbols shifted rapidly across her display, almost there. One of the enforcers noticed her movement. Commander. Rowan moved instantly, stepping between the enforcer and Mara. He did not attack aggressively. Instead, he blocked their line of sight, forcing hesitation. Mara entered the final command. Access DENIED. She swallowed frustration. The alien symbols changed again, revealing a hidden sequence she had never noticed before. She realized the system was not purely mechanical. It responded to patterns, perhaps intention or logic. She adjusted her approach, aligning commands to stabilize instead of destroy. The console flickered. Access granted. Mara's breath caught. She began initiating a shutdown sequence. Alarms blared. Ilara's calm broke for the first time. Stop her. The enforcers moved forward, but Rowan stepped into their path, deflecting shots and forcing them to slow down without causing lasting harm. Myra focused completely on the screen. The system resisted, energy surging wildly. Almost, she whispered. A massive pulse of light burst from the column. The ground shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Rowan stumbled but stayed standing. Myra slammed the final command. Shutdown initiated. The blue light dimmed slightly, then flickered. The hum dropped in pitch. Ilara stared in disbelief. You don't understand what you've done. Mara turned to face her. I understand exactly. Security systems activated automatically, forcing everyone to retreat as containment shields lowered around the core. Rowan grabbed Mara's arm lightly. Time to go, she nodded. They ran back through the tunnels as alarms echoed behind them. The storm outside howled louder as if reacting to the machine's power fading. As they emerged into the canyon, the sky flashed with wild lightning. The dig site descended into chaos as workers scrambled and drones malfunctioned. Myra paused for a moment, looking back at the glowing tower. The light faded slowly like a dying star. You did it, Rowan said. Not yet, she replied. It's only temporary. We bought time. Rowan smiled slightly. Sometimes time is enough. They mounted their horses quickly. Behind them, Helios Corps' operations struggled to regain control. Ahead of them, the stormlands stretched into darkness. Myra felt exhaustion, relief, and something else, trust growing quietly inside her. She looked at Rowan. You could have left, she said. He shrugged. I said I'd ride beside you. And together they rode into the storm, knowing the real fight was not finished yet. The storm followed them like a shadow that refused to fade. Mara and Rowan rode hard through the canyon, their horses moving carefully across shifting ground. Behind them, alarms echoed from the Helios Corps dig site, mixing with thunder and lightning. Myra did not slow until they reached a ridge far from the main camp. She turned Ash toward a cluster of tall rocks and finally stopped. Her breath came fast, more from tension than from the ride itself. Rowan pulled Flint to a halt beside her. Neither spoke for a moment. The wind rushed around them, carrying sand across the land like waves on an ocean. You shut it down, Rowan said finally. For now, Mara replied. The system will reboot if they regain control. She slid from the saddle and walked to the edge of the ridge. From there, she could see the distant glow of the dig site. Lights flickered unevenly, some turning off, others flashing in warning patterns. Rowan joined her quietly. "What's the next move?" he asked. Myra crossed her arms, thinking, "Helios Core won't stop. Commander Voss will adapt. She always does. You know her well." "I worked under her," Myra said. "She believes control is the only way to build a future. She thinks people need strong hands guiding them." Rowan watched the storm clouds slowly shift overhead. "And you?" "I think people deserve choice," Mara said. Rowan nodded. "Then we finish this." Mara hesitated. "Finishing it means going back." Rowan smiled slightly. "Good thing we didn't ride all this way just to run." Mara almost laughed, but the sound stayed inside her chest. Instead, she looked at him carefully. He did not push. He did not challenge her independence. He simply stood beside her, steady as always. "I told you not to stay if things went wrong," she said. "And I told you I'm not here to save you," he replied gently, "just to ride beside you." She felt something soften inside her, not weakness, something stronger, trust. The storm grew quieter as dawn approached. Pale light stretched across the desert, revealing long shadows and broken shapes of old machines half buried in sand. "We need a different plan," Mara said. "The shutdown only delayed activation. If we want to stop Helios Core completely, we need proof of what they're doing." Rowan tilted his head. "Expose them. Yes, broadcast their real intentions to the frontier settlements. If people know the truth, they'll resist." "And Voss loses control," Rowan finished. Mara nodded. "There's a central data hub near the command tower. I uploaded fragments of their plans earlier. If we access it again, we can send everything out." Rowan checked the sky. The storm was breaking, but dark clouds still rolled across the horizon. "Then we ride back before they rebuild their defenses." They rested briefly, giving the horses water and checking equipment. Mara felt the weight of the coming fight pressing against her shoulders, but she no longer felt alone beneath it. By midday, they approached the dig site again, this time from a higher ridge that overlooked the entire operation. Helios Core had moved quickly. New drones hovered above the area, and security patrols doubled around the central tower. "They're expecting us," Rowan said. Mara nodded. "Good, that means they're nervous." She studied the terrain carefully. A narrow ravine cut through the rocks toward the rear of the command tent. It offered limited cover, but enough to approach unseen if they timed it right. "We split," she said. "You draw attention near the outer perimeter, nothing reckless, just enough to pull guards away. I'll reach the hub and start the broadcast." Rowan considered for a moment. "You sure you don't want backup inside?" She looked at him. "I need you outside more." He accepted that without argument. They moved quickly into position. Rowan rode toward the outer edge of the camp, intentionally revealing himself long enough to trigger alarms. Drones turned toward him and guards began to reposition. Mara slipped through the ravine, using shadows and broken equipment for cover. Her heart beat steadily, not with fear, but with focus. She reached the command tent entrance and paused. Two guards stood nearby, watching the storm clouds instead of the ground behind them. Mara moved silently, disabling them with quick, precise energy pulses. She dragged them gently aside, ensuring they would recover later. Inside the tent, screens flickered with data streams. Maps, weather projections, energy readings, all connected to the alien system beneath the ground. Mara sat at the main console and began working. Her fingers moved fast, bypassing security layers she once helped design. She uploaded the stolen files, attaching clear evidence of Helios Core's plan to manipulate storms and force settlers off their land. "Come on," she whispered. Outside, distant sounds of movement echoed. Rowan's distraction was working, but not for long. Suddenly, a voice spoke behind her. "I expected you to try something like this." Mara turned slowly. Commander Alara Voss stood at the tent entrance, calm as ever. "You could have stayed with us," Alara said. "You had talent, vision." "I had doubts," Mara replied. "And doubts turned into truth." Alara stepped closer. "You believe chaos is freedom, but chaos destroys." "Control destroys too," Mara said. Alara's eyes moved to the screen. "If you send that broadcast, you create panic." "I create choice," Mara said. Alara sighed almost sadly. "You always were stubborn." Mara pressed the final command. Transmission initiated. Data streamed outward across communication networks, reaching nearby towns, mining colonies, and frontier ships. Helios Core's secrets were no longer hidden. Alarms changed tone across the camp. Workers stopped, looking at their devices as messages arrived. Alara closed her eyes briefly. "You've made this complicated." It was already complicated, Mara said. Rowan's voice crackled through her comm unit. Guards are pulling back, something's changing out here. Mara stood slowly. It's over, she told Alara. People will see the truth. Alara looked at her carefully. For the first time, uncertainty touched her expression. Maybe, she said quietly, or maybe they will choose safety over freedom. Then it will be their choice, Mara replied. Alara stepped aside, allowing Mara to leave. Outside, confusion spread through the camp. Some workers argued with supervisors, others lowered their weapons. Rowan waited near the ridge, holding Flint's reins. When he saw Mara approaching, relief crossed his face. You look like someone who just changed history, he said. Maybe just slowed it down, she replied. Together they mounted and rode away from the dig site. Behind them, Helios Corps' operations struggled to maintain control as settlers began contacting one another, sharing information, asking questions. The storm finally broke apart above them, revealing a wide blue sky. They rode in silence for a while. Mara felt lighter, as if a weight she had carried for months had finally loosened. You didn't try to take over, she said after some time. Rowan glanced at her. I told you, not here to lead you, she nodded slowly. Most people try to fix things for me. I trust you to fix your own path, he said. The horizon stretched endlessly ahead, open land, new choices. Mara slowed Ash slightly, allowing Rowan to ride beside her instead of behind. Where are you heading now? She asked. Rowan shrugged. Wherever the road goes. She looked at the open desert, then back at him. Then ride with me, she said. He smiled softly. They turned toward the setting sun, riding side by side across the frontier, not saving each other, not following each other, but choosing the same direction. And for the first time in a long time, Mara felt like the road ahead belonged to her.